Hello, everybody. This is Megan,
And this is Alana.
and welcome to Tea Time Crimes. Hello, everybody, and welcome. If you're new here, we're happy to have you. Just a quick review of our format in case the name didn't give it away, but Alana's going to kick us off with a tea review, hence the tea time, and then I will start with the crime. That's what we do every week. Neither one of us knows what the other is bringing to the episode, so I hope you enjoy and like both parts. But Alana, what do you got? Do you have any more Mattress Club updates before you get into that winter tea?
Oh yeah, I did do another session yesterday. It was cool. It was very cold. That was one of the cold mornings.
Mattress Club is not actually what it's called. What is it called?
Master Naturalist.
Right. She misspoke last week, so it's forever that for me. And
I did not say mattress last week.
It sounded like it. And then I finished it for you.
No.
You paused and it sounded like mattress. But what did you look for this week? Mushrooms that kill you? Berries that make you sick?
We saw a bunch of birds, which was really fun. So many birds, so many different kinds of birds, different songbirds, a few different crows and raptors. So it was amazing how much you could see just in an hour, the variety of species. What else did we do? We looked for wild hog tracks. We found a bunch of tracks.
Aren't wild hogs incredibly mean?
Yes, but they sleep during the day.
You better hope.
But you can eat them.
Yeah.
So yeah, we spent the day out there, and it was cold, but it was very fun, and it is nice to be out with all those people.
Did you get your science pants?
No, they haven't come in yet. And I kind of did a blend of science pants and trail pants.
I don't know what either of those things are. So, what are science pants? Do they have a lot of, I'm picturing a lot of pockets and
correct.
Like a fluid resistant material.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Thank you.
So I went to REI online because we don't have one here. And I went through a few different pants.
I typed in science pants.
Yeah,
does it come with a magnifying glass?
But no, it doesn't. But these are more trail pants, so I'm hoping it'll work. Which need similar things. It's best for them to be water resistant, flexible. Yeah. Pockets are nice.
Water resistant. That's way better than fluid resistant, which is what I said.
I mean, you never know what you're going to get into.
Because I was instantly thinking crime scene. I'm like, well, they might be good. They might be good in a crime scene, these science pants.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they probably would. Lots of pockets.
For all the sharp things.
So we're planning on a trip to Canada, and specifically...
The Naturalist Club?
No, Chris and I. Sorry, I'm pivoting.
Yeah.
To Quebec. Which is a... Quebec.
Quebec, yep.
I guarantee you they say Quebec up there. I'll report back.
My grandmother grew up there and didn't call it
She grew up in Quebec?
Yeah. Until
Did she speak French?
Yes. That's her first language.
That's so cool. I didn't know that.
But what? All of the people from Quebec are going to be like, nah, she's wrong. It is Quebec. Because you're always right about this weird stuff. But I don't know. Maybe she just Americanized it when she came over.
I mean, I try not to make up too much stuff. So I wanted to call. We're going to this cool wolf lodge. And I wanted to call and make sure the reservation's still there. And then as soon as I think about picking up the phone, I panic. Because the dialer, the first thing is in French. And so I'm panicking. And of course they have an English menu, but now I'm like, I need to learn French. So I'm doing a Duolingo hardcore French for the next few weeks. And yeah, it's just imagine me trying to speak French up there. That's what I want you to do.
It'll be great. Yeah, you have a great accent. And it'll be good. All right, we'll kick us off to this. I don't think the Canadians are notoriously kind.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got for a winter tea?
We have Soot Spice.
Excuse me?
Soot, SOOT, Spice, Spicy Winter Chai. Now, some of you on the nerdier side of life will appreciate this. It's from the movie Totoro, and there's little soot sprites. They're little cute little black things, and they go around. But anyways, this tea shop, Riddle's Tea Shop, I've tried some of her other teas before. She's also a nerd, and so this is a spicy winter chai.
So soot is a spice. It's not made by a charwoman or anything.
No. Oh, maybe it is.
The ghost of a charwoman with
Oh.
masculine proportions.
So black tea, ginger, cardamom, cloves, cinnamon, all what you'd expect in a chai. And then some orange apple pieces. Oh, I don't like this word. Ginger varietal. Why don't I like varietal? I don't like it as a word.
I don't like it either.
I reject it. Goodbye. Okay, it smells like chai,
I keep just
as
thinking of
we
like
know it in America.
a school putting on a varietal show now.
Yeah, there's something tricky in here. Maybe it's the orange.
Maybe it's
Smells a
you.
little off. I mean, sure. Very light body. The smell is stronger than the taste, not in a super bad way. It's very, I can taste the clove, which is nice. I don't taste the apple. It almost tastes like vanilla, but maybe that's the cinnamon. Yeah, it's just a good chai. I
Yeah.
just put a dash of milk.
I was just gonna say, I'm sure you put a dash of
Just a
milk.
dash.
Just a touch.
No dollops. Gosh, what am I going to rate it? It's a thumbs up, so that thumb is going up.
Okay. A varietal thumbs up?
It's a smelly
A
thumbs up.
smelly thumbs up. Good Lord.
No. What's a nice word? A fragrant tea thumbs up?
Fragrant thumbs up or a fragrant tea thumbs up?
Fragrant thumbs up.
Okay. Makes perfect sense.
It's because it smells stronger than it tastes.
Oh, okay. I want you to have back a 2 thumbs upper. It
I
rarely
don't
happens.
think that will ever happen again.
Really? You don't think anybody can top Calcutta?
No.
Is that what it's
Because
called?
it was a whole, yeah, Kolkata. It was a
Kolkata. Thank
whole
you.
experience because like you have to make it, and it's like you boil milk. It got unfair treatment above the others, if that makes sense. Because you're making a latte, a chai latte. These are just
Well, nobody's
steep teas.
stopping you from trying another one of
I mean, I could
that
latte
caliber.
something else up, but I
All
don't
right.
know. It's
Well,
gonna
a
be hard.
fragrant
That
thumbs
beautiful,
up for this winter
beautiful
tea.
chai. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It'll be a good one.
Cool. All right. Well, you about to enjoy this case?
I don't believe you.
No, that was a question.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm just going to jump right in today. Okay.
Okay.
Anjette Donovan. I don't know how her name was made. I've never heard it before. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. So just want to
Okay.
get that out there before you're like, where is she from? It's a weird. Have you ever heard that name, Anjette?
No, I'm assuming it's from way back times.
I don't know. Anjette Donovan was one of 3 children born to William and Jetta Donovan in 1925. So I'm
Huh.
thinking maybe it's just is spin on her mom's name.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I've never heard Jetta either. Have you?
No.
Okay. Together, her parents ran a successful produce company in Macon, Georgia.
Okay.
Okay. Now, at the age of 22 in 1947, Anjette married U.S. Army vet Ben Lyles Jr., who had obviously just served in World War II. Nothing? I'm like waiting for you to respond because I just said World War II, and usually that's like your trigger word.
I'm letting you tell a story.
Oh, I like when you jump in. The Lyles family was known around Macon because Ben Lyles Sr. owned a restaurant in town called Lyles.
Oh.
Yeah. And that is what Ben Jr. inherited when his father passed away. So as he's married to Anjette, the couple lived at Biltmore Apartments, which was right in town. They could walk to Lyles, the restaurant. They could also walk to her parents' house. Real small
Okay.
town vibe. Anjette started working at the restaurant as a waitress. And she was really good at it, which good waitresses or waiters, it's underappreciated in my opinion. It's a very hard job.
Yeah.
Have you ever been a waitress?
No, I would not be good at it.
Really? Why not? Patience with jerks?
Yeah, that would be tough. Maybe I'd be okay at it.
And you remember stuff and you move fast. That's really
Yeah.
the point
And
of
I've been
acting.
balancing 3 cat bowls on my arm lately that I feel like a waiter.
Do they leave you tips?
No, they're really rude about it.
So she was really good at it. She's super friendly. She's personable. Plus, she's good at her job, right? Hard worker. Within that first year of marriage, Anjette becomes pregnant, and her and Ben welcome Marcia as their firstborn. And shortly after, they have a second daughter named Carla in 1951. Unfortunately, Ben is not doing as well as Anjette. He's struggling to adjust after World War II.
Well, yeah, he was in the awful war. Do you know where he was stationed?
No, but he contracted rheumatic fever while he was enlisted, and it left him with some lingering health problems. He did receive a pension from the Army, but he wasn't able to work, at least
Oh,
like he wanted to, not like Anjette was. This most likely is one of the underlying causes of his impending drinking problem because he started to
okay.
drink more and more and
And
more.
you're feeling like useless as a father and a husband and like not making money and stuff like that, I'm sure. And probably PTSD.
Exactly. And he also started to gamble quite a bit. It's not
Not a
great.
good path, y'all.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
By the time Carla
Just like meth.
arrived in their family, it was pretty tense in the Lyles household. To add to it, the VA notified Ben that there would be a reduction in his monthly pension payments because they deemed him fit to return to work, even though he did not feel that he could.
Classic. I learned some wild stuff about vets, by the way.
Where and what?
One of my friend's fiance is a social worker for vets, and they're even now today, they're so pressured to say they're fine in order when they come back from tour duty to like move on to like whatever they can get from it and move on to the next phase of life. It's such pressure on them. So imagine back in the 50s how much
Yeah.
worse it was to
Well,
be
they're
like,
not even
yep, sign this, I'm
considering.
fine.
There's not even any, it's just physical assessments, right?
Yeah. Right. There's yeah, that's a great point.
Anyway, the family's not doing great.
Yeah. It's so
And
hard.
Ben decides to sell Lyles for $2,500, which was low, even for then,
Yeah.
without consulting Anjette.
Oh, bad move, bro.
She was furious.
Yeah.
That was her job,
Right.
and she considered it to be their future.
Right.
They owned a business.
Right.
It was also not a good business move because it did nothing to help their situation financially in the long term. And emotionally, it made things 1,000 times worse.
Very tense.
Ben continued to drink more and more and more, and his health began to decline. At the start of 1952, Ben was admitted to Macon Hospital, and after just a few weeks, he passed away from encephalitis,
What's that?
swelling of the brain.
Oh.
So Anjette is in rough shape. She's got 2 littles. She no longer has a restaurant, and the money
Ooh.
that Ben did have in his pension and life insurance went to pay off all of his gambling debts and pay for his funeral.
Oh man.
But Anjette has a plan. She's very good at the hospitality market. She's really good at it. So she decides to get a job at the Bell House, which is another restaurant in town. She gets a job as their bookkeeper, and she uses that purposefully as an on-the-job training so that she can learn everything she needs to know about running a restaurant. Then she moves her girls back in with her parents, and she saves every single penny. By the spring of 1955, Anjette has saved enough, and she buys Lyle's restaurant back.
Wow.
And she takes the sign down and changes it to Anjette's.
Yeah, baby.
So there's ads run in the paper at this time. Anjette's Restaurant, 560 Mulberry Street, Macon, Georgia. Home of real coffee and fine food. Owned and operated by Anjette D. Lyles.
Love it.
Yeah. And like I said, Anjette's really good at running this business.
She's a hard worker.
She's a hard worker. She's really good at what she does. She loves being around people. She's charismatic. She's charming. She's also flirtatious.
Oh.
There are rumors in town that Anjette might be with more than one gentleman as a man and a woman.
Okay. It's fine. Probably not back then.
Yeah, not back then. Yeah. A few months after buying the restaurant, Anjette meets pilot Joe Neil Gabbert. And Joe has an impressive resume. He was a Marine who served in the Korean War. He attended Texas Western, and then he started working for Capital Airways as a pilot.
Okay.
They had this whirlwind romance. They take a vacation together to the Southwest, and they come back in June married.
Oh.
Yeah.
Vegas.
Really quick. Rumors are still spinning that despite the new nuptials, Anjette might be continuing to confabulate around town with other gentlemen.
Oops, not as cool.
Because Joe is gone a lot as a pilot. But it's a small town, so who knows, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's coming forward and being
it's
like,
tough.
Yep, here's pictures. By the end of 1955, Joe checks into the VA hospital for minor surgery. He has to have a minor procedure done on his wrist. After the surgery, He spikes a fever post-op, and he breaks out into a rash, and doctors do everything they can to intervene, but he passes away December 2nd, 1955.
What?
Yeah. People are shocked.
From a wrist surgery.
Something, yeah, exactly. Complications after the surgery.
Oh
He
my
passes
God.
away. Doctors are baffled because the surgery had gone well and it was a simple operation, but right after he spikes this high fever. They push for an autopsy just because they want to be sure. Probably they're worried about malpractice, right?
Oh.
And Anjette said she knew that Joe wouldn't want that, and that's not going to help anything, so let's move on. The couple hadn't been married very long, but they had been married long enough for Joe to update his documents. So Anjette, with the money from Joe's death, pays for his funeral, buys a new home for her and the girls, and gets herself a vehicle.
I'm a little worried how this is starting to trend.
Having moved out of her parents' house and into the new home, she no longer has this built-in daycare. So she's working, but she's still working long hours at the restaurant. To help out, the girl's grandmother, Julia Lyles, so this is Ben's mother.
Ben's
This is
mom.
her former mother-in-law. She generously offers to move in with Anjette and the girls, and she'll take care of the girls while Anjette's working, because the restaurant business, you're not working 9 to 5 or, even when they're in school, you're working usually late nights or closing out the restaurant or whatever. It's a perfect situation for everybody. She also gets to be with her granddaughters, who she loves.
Yeah.
Everything goes great at first, but then Anjette starts asking Julia to make sure that she creates a will.
Oh.
Julia refused, and the argument created quite a bit of tension between the two women. In 1957, this became more of a necessity when Julia became sick. It started out as respiratory symptoms like a cold, but then it continued to progress. Eventually, Julia started vomiting blood and was admitted to the same hospital as her son. Now, despite their previous arguments, Anjette visited Julia every single day,
To poison her more.
bringing her meals from the restaurant.
Yep.
And the illness continued to progress. Julia Lyles passed away September 29th, 1957.
Oh my God.
As soon as Julia had passed, Anjette revealed that the two women had worked through their previous disagreement and produced a will signed by
I don't
Julia.
fucking believe you.
It left a third to her surviving son, Joseph, who was a technical sergeant in the Marines, and the rest to Anjette and then her daughters.
In what world?
Yeah. So this is 3 deaths,
Yeah.
pretty close together, but they all have a kind of reasonable explanation. Here's where it takes a turn. 6 months later, Anjette's oldest daughter, Marcia, began complaining of a cough and a headache one night when she was at the restaurant with her mother. She's 9 years old.
They're not going to get any money out of her.
Anjette gives her a home remedy of sugar and whiskey,
Love that. That's
which
the
didn't
good old 50s.
instantly help. I don't know why, right? So she took Marcia home to rest. On March 5th, she was admitted to the hospital when she started vomiting blood. Now, at this point, the whispers or conspiracy theories that were kind of in people's mind after Julia passed are now being whispered aloud.
Yeah.
People are now concerned. The coroner in town, Lester Chapman, even received an anonymous call. Apparently, the caller said Marcia Lyles will die. Now, the coroner's super confused. I don't even know if he knew. I don't know. I mean, the town's pretty small, so does he know off the top of his head who Marcia Lyles is? I'm not sure. He called the hospital, figured it out, talked to Marcia's doctor, and the doctor said, yes, she is here. She's been admitted, but she's improving, and things are looking good. So he was like, all right, somebody's just being a jerk.
Okay, but we should exhume the bodies.
Now, oblivious or unconcerned by these rumors, Anjette is convinced that Marcia's going to die and started preparing for her funeral.
No. What?
Even despite the fact that she was improving.
Sketch.
Out of nowhere, Marcia takes a turn for the worse. Experiencing the same symptoms she had before, plus hallucinations. Now, these hallucinations are terrifying. Remember, she's 9 years old. Marcia thought there were monsters in the room, that bugs were crawling on her, and that worms were coming out of her fingers.
What is this, like acid or morphine?
Anjette decided she made an odd choice. She chose to sit in the corner of the hospital room and laugh at her daughter.
All right. If we didn't see super red flags before, there's
Yeah.
one in the open.
Yeah. She
Jesus.
explained that she can't help it. She laughs when she gets nervous.
I mean, I do too, but I would
I do
not
too,
laugh
but
in
that's
that
not a
situation.
situation when I'm
No, that's
nervous.
when I'm really upset because my child is hurting.
I'm not nervous. I'm
No.
absolutely gutted and
Right.
devastated. I'm not giggling in the corner.
Yeah, right.
By the end of March, Julia Lyles' sister, so her mother-in-law, Julia, her sister Nora receives an unsigned letter. It reads, "Please come at once. She's getting the same dose as the others. Please come at once."
What?
Mhm.
So this would be somebody's great niece. That lady's great niece, right?
Guess, yeah.
Hey, here come back the nieces.
Well, would it be? I guess so. Yeah, because it would have been Ben's aunt. Mhm.
Nieces with a grandma, I tell
Oh,
ya, changing the world.
yeah, it's a good combo. So Nora's confused. She doesn't even know what they're talking about. And then a few days later, a second note is received that says essentially the same thing, but puts Marcia's name in the note this time.
Okay, and I mean, it's her
Yeah, she
family. She
knows.
would
Yeah.
know about her.
Yeah. Nora and a few other family members drive to Macon, which is about 45 minutes from where they live, to talk to the sheriff about this. And
Oh.
everybody decides that it's probably somebody with a cruel prank. Marcia battles her illness for days and tragically dies April 4th, 1958.
No. Now it's turning from Greedy Gibbs to Jolly Jane.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Like
took
at
it took a
first,
turn.
maybe it was for money, and now it's for darkness.
Yeah.
Ugh.
In this case, an
Baby.
autopsy is performed because there's
Okay,
no
good.
reason a 9-year-old
Yes,
with no previous illness should die of kidney
exactly.
failure. And the coroner, remember, he had some questions.
Yeah.
He had received the anonymous call. He also received an anonymous letter after Marcia passed stating that Anjette kept ant
Oh.
poison at her house to treat the restaurant, but the restaurant didn't have an ant problem. The coroner realizes that arsenic could be the cause of these deaths, which is what's in the ant extermination, whatever it's called. This is the ant poison.
Mhm.
And he sends Marcia's hair for further testing. He also worked very closely with the medical examiner Leonard Campbell and the Georgia Crime Lab to try and run all the tests possible to see if, in fact, Marcia had been poisoned. He's super sus. Now, when the coroner confronted Anjette about poison, I think while he's waiting for the results,
Mhm.
Anjette met with him at his office and she brings along Carla, who's 7.
No.
And Anjette says, "Tell him." Carla tells the coroner that she had played doctor with her sister and that 2 other friends had given Marcia pretend medicine.
Are you kidding?
She's making this is not true, by the way. She's making her 7-year-old
That's disgusting.
admit to killing her sister.
That's disgusting.
The coroner is horrified by this story and says, "If this is true, you need to call the other parents immediately. How have you not contacted them? Do it now." And he hands her the phone. She puts on this big production. She gets the phone book. She looks up the name. She calls. She has an entire conversation. That will turn out later. That call never happened, at least to the woman she said she was calling. That mother was like, "I don't even know what you're talking about."
What?
She never called me and told me that. Marcia's test results, they come back. They show very high levels of arsenic, enough poison to kill a person within 6 to 24 hours. But the hair samples suggest that Marcia had most likely been receiving repeated doses for a
Yeah,
long time.
I'm just worried because it's going to stay with Carla forever, even if she's just having that moment in time exist. When
Yeah.
it's like obviously not true, but that's going to fuck her up.
With this, Ben Lyles, Joe Gabbert, and Julia Lyles are exhumed. And guess what? All 3 of them have equally high doses of arsenic.
All of them.
All of them. Right out the gate, starting with Ben.
Wow.
As this news is coming to light, Anjette herself is hospitalized for a swollen varicose vein.
What?
Yeah, she had phlebitis. This doesn't stop the investigation, though. Searching Anjette's home, they found several boxes of Taro ant killer, which contained the arsenic, 3 empty
Mhm.
bottles, and 1 half used in her purse. The pesticide is in liquid form.
Okay.
May 6, 1958, Anjette was arrested while she's in the hospital. The Journal Gazette quoted her as saying, "I have committed no crime."
Can you imagine having eaten at that restaurant?
I know, right? That's what I was thinking. I bet you so many people
We're like
became
freaked
sick
out.
instantly just out of
Just a
psychosomatic.
placebo, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, "I'm ill for weeks, never going there again."
Oh.
Even though the warrant was served, law enforcement had to wait for the doctors to approve
Oh.
moving Anjette to jail. This approval was given the next day, and the Macon News had Anjette leaving front page in a wheelchair. I mean, your leg's a little swollen. Anyway, the warrant charged Anjette with all 4 homicides. So Ben Lyles Jr., January
Wow.
25th, 1953. Joe Gabbert, December 2nd, 1955. Julia Lyles, September 29th, 1957. And Marcia Lyles, April 4th, 1958. In my opinion, the papers are surprisingly sympathetic at the start. Most people are in absolute disbelief that the Anjette they know could be accused of this because I told you she's very charming,
Yeah,
which
yeah, yeah.
we know is
Right.
one of
Comes
the,
from the hospitality business.
yeah, she's very good at her job.
Jolly Jane.
Even Joe's family, which is her second husband, who stated they felt his death was suspicious from the start because he went in for this routine procedure. He went in healthy, and then they're saying he died of complications of something to do with pneumonia after a wrist surgery. They were really suspicious. They don't say anything negative about Anjette. I don't know if they believe her innocence or if they're just taking the absolute ultimate high road here, like Michelle Obama. But Joe's brother, DK Gabbert, was reported in the El Paso Herald as saying, "We truly sympathize with her in her troubles, and as Christian people, we hold no hatred."
What?
What? Like, this is just breaking.
I don't get that.
I understand if you get to that point, but this is he's just given the news of this, so they must just
Yeah.
be, I don't know, just really
Wow.
high class folks, I guess. He goes on to say that his mother is absolutely devastated, and faith is the only thing allowing her to hang on after the death of her son. Now,
Oh.
days after her arrest, it's also learned that Anjette was getting ready to be married for a 3rd time to an Air Force major. So she definitely has a type. She likes
Yeah,
the pension.
she sure does.
Who friends say was named Bob Franks. And
Oh.
Bob had known Joe, her second husband. He'd even visited him in the hospital, but there's no indication that Bob had any idea what's going on. It's also reported that Anjette was seeing more than one prominent businessman in town and had a network
Oh.
of pilots that she made reservations for at a nearby hotel where she would meet them when they would come into town. So
Wow.
her confabulations seemed to be even a little bit more robust and solid than we were initially thinking.
Yeah.
The papers also report on items found in Anjette's house, right? They have the poison that they found, but they found some other things. And the sheriff isn't really sure what to call it. So he refers to it as, quote, voodoo equipment. And
What?
the Macon News reported, and this is a quote from the paper, the pretty young widow apparently had converted her bedroom into a witch's lair and practiced bizarre voodoo rituals there.
Okay.
I feel like this is a bad rap for witches
Yeah.
and people who practice voodoo. I feel like Anjette was probably just
Poisoning.
just poisoning, but also probably, I'm sure she wasn't doing it correctly, right? I don't think this is a woman who had studied
Yes,
and
that's
was
fair.
like, this is what, these are my beliefs and this is what that's not what it's, either one of those practices are meant for,
No.
to murder your
Correct.
child. So anyway, it appears most of the equipment that they're talking about, it's like black candles and love potions.
Okay.
Okay. There's also a picture of another man who the sheriff knew at the time of the article but refused to identify. It was in a sock taped under her bed. And then there was another sock, like a matching sock, in her drawer with another picture of him. So this
Okay,
is
so
some
I'm
sort of spell she's
now
doing.
seeing some like mental problems.
No, this is a spell she was doing. So anyway, if you hadn't guessed, it's later revealed that the picture was of Bob Franks, even though the sheriff didn't reveal it. It was revealed in
Yeah.
later articles. And Jet was using the picture of him in the socks. I don't fully understand it, but whatever. Along with a black candle to break up him and his girlfriend. So I don't know how close you were to
Okay.
marrying this gentleman if he had a girlfriend.
Hmm.
Also, does a picture in a sock truly work?
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm going to need some more details before I try it. While Anjette is awaiting her trial, her restaurant is auctioned off. Finally, October 6, 1958, Anjette is officially charged, but just with the murder of her daughter.
Huh.
The 3 other indictments are still waiting in the wings for later.
Okay.
And the prosecution is allowed to talk about the 3 other cases, which the defense strongly protests.
I'm
But
sure.
they're allowed in. So
Is Carla with her parents right now?
Carla
I
was
would
taken
imagine?
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not to her parents and Jet's parents.
It said that she was taken away and put in childcare, but I don't know where she
Oh,
ultimately ended up
okay.
because Anjette also has brothers. There's family.
Oh, I
Hopefully she
see.
ended up with family, but it
Yeah.
didn't say. At the trial, there were 51 witnesses. It was a lot.
How? That is a lot. A small town.
I mean, all the people at the restaurant
I
really
guess.
is what it mostly is. And like the people who came, this is what, in a nutshell, this is what they talked about. Anjette brought meals and drinks to her daughter and to her mother-in-law while they were in the hospital. Anjette predicted each death after Ben's, even buying her daughter's casket in advance.
Yeah, that's fucked.
That's messed up.
Like, no sane person would do that.
No parent would do that. Some say Anjette would claim a fortune teller had predicted the deaths. Other times there are accounts of her having somebody come visit Joe and she pulled back the covers and said, "Look at his toenails. He's going to die." I don't understand what that means. Each funeral was absolutely over the top. She spent way too much money on the funerals, or more money than she had, and she made these big lavish events, which is people thought was weird.
Huh.
Julia's will was forged.
Not a surprise.
According to handwriting analyst Mary Beacom and evidence of Anjette practicing her signature. So they found a piece of paper where somebody's been practicing Julia's signature over and over again. Plus, Mary
Why would you just
Beacom
throw that out?
could tell, right? When you're burning your black candles, like maybe that makes it
Yeah.
into the flames. You know what I mean? Ms. Beacom could tell that the signature had hesitation marks, meaning it was traced ultimately rather than
Okay.
free flow.
Interesting.
And
Handwriting
Anjette
analysis.
also produced, get this is despicable, a handwritten, answer air quotes if you couldn't hear it in my voice, letter from Julia in which Julia confessed to the murder of her own son Joe and I'm sorry, of her own son Ben and Joe. So she's saying Anjette's saying that
It's
Julia
hilarious.
killed her own son,
Yeah.
her first husband, then killed her second husband, then felt
Yeah.
so bad that she took her own life.
Yeah.
That was
seems likely.
Also a fake because hello.
God. What a joke.
She then starts to imply that her own mother, who stood by her through the entire trial, could have murdered Marcia.
Okay, she's unraveling.
Anjette had written the letter, that was a forgery of Julia's stupid confession, and told an employee of hers to back her up that the note was found in Julia's purse. That was her plan.
Oh.
Instead, this employee was like, "You know what? I'm going to just tell the truth." And she testified for the prosecution. It was like, she told me to say that this note was there and it wasn't. She wrote it. So
Good.
that's done. People at the restaurant testified to Anjette's poor treatment of Marcia, just Marcia. Before each food run to the hospital, Anjette would swing by the bathroom and take the food and her purse in with her. Which just on a
What?
general note is disgusting anyway, even if you're not
Disgusting.
poisoning it. But that was creating the fact that she had the opportunity.
I don't like that.
Yeah. Because in her purse she has the poison, in her hand she
Yep.
has the food. They meet in the toilet. Before Marcia passed away, Anjette had already packed her things in the hospital room, put them in a suitcase, put them outside her door, and then thrown away all her flowers. The nurses the nurses are also testifying because they're like, this is weird as shit. And here's what she
Yeah.
did. Another witness testified that she had overheard Anjette say, and this is a quote, "I'm going to kill the little Lyles looking son of a bitch if it is the last thing I ever do," referring to her daughter
What?
because she looked like Ben. Yeah.
Wait, who heard her say that?
A witness. I believe it was another employee.
Oh my God. Poor baby.
She was also overheard expressing her hate for Julia and wishing that Julia would die.
This girl got issues.
She's also was seen stroking Marcia's hair when she lay dying, saying, quote,
No.
"You love your mother, don't you, darling?"
No.
Which to me is even grosser than the first mean comment.
The narcissism.
Because her daughter is dying she's killing her daughter and she's still wanting her daughter to profess her loyalty and her love. She's still taking from her daughter
gross.
as she lay dying.
Gross.
And Marcia is 9 years old and wants her mother.
9.
She doesn't feel good. She wants her mother. It's just that last piece upsets me more than any of the mean things. It's gross. Ugh. Anyway, so Anjette is not the hardworking, savvy businesswoman I was hoping for at the beginning of the story, and now I despise it. Motive was presented strictly as financial. having gained over
No.
$50,000 from all of the deaths. Ben had 2 life insurance policies just under $15,000. But most of that did go to paying off his debts. However, his death happened 1 month before his pension was reduced, which I think is the real reason.
Okay.
Because
That
I
makes more
imagine
sense.
she probably received more benefits for a period
Yeah.
of time
Yeah.
if he right. I also think that she was just really mad at him for selling the restaurant.
That's it. I mean, we can get into the psychology afterwards, but I think something there. I wonder if something more than just that stuff happened.
Yeah. For Joe, Anjette applied for a year's worth of benefits after he died, plus she received his 1955 Oldsmobile, which was valued at $1,500, which is quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's almost as much as Ben got for the whole restaurant.
Right.
For Julia, Anjette herself received 1/3 of her estate from the forged will, and her daughters received another third. Which, I mean, do her
Wow.
daughters really get it, you know? But there's more to it, like I'm talking about, because get this, Marcia also had a life insurance policy, but it was for $1,750, and Jet spent $1,200 on the funeral, plus had medical bills. So it
What?
seems to me the attention of another death and her own cruelty towards her oldest daughter are just as much as of a motivation as the financial gain, because
Because
she's
you're
not really
getting no, you're not getting much at all.
no, what she's getting is some sort of sick, I really think there's like a Munchausen by proxy
Mm-hmm.
thing going on here.
Oh my God.
At the trial, Anjette gave a statement that, I mean, summed up, just said she was innocent and that she would never hurt anybody, especially her own daughter, and she started sobbing.
Fuck off.
She was found guilty and sentenced to death by electrocution.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's that time of the century.
Yeah. Once the verdict was handed down, Anjette underwent several psychiatric evaluations.
Yeah.
Each expert agreed that Anjette was not sane. They diagnosed her as a chronic paranoid schizophrenic. I have a really hard time with this diagnosis. I wonder if it was a misdiagnosis of the time. But for starters, it's not necessarily accurate that a person with schizophrenia is violent. In fact, they're more often victims of violence than the other way around.
Oh.
90% of people with this diagnosis don't show any aggressive behavior.
Hmm.
So I would lean more towards, like we talked about, a Munchausen by proxy or some sort of personality disorder, like antisocial
And
personality.
heavily narcissistic.
Yeah, or narcissistic, right? I wonder if she were seen today, if the same diagnosis would be
Right.
given. But I'm not a psychologist, and I obviously have never spoken to Anjette, so I don't know. But I did want to just
She's
put
dead.
that out there, because even if the diagnosis was correct, this is an atypical representation of schizophrenia.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is not the commonplace, right? There are people out there living with
Yeah.
schizophrenia who are never, ever violent and living their lives.
Most people.
Yeah, 90%. The doctors, so together, they wrote a letter. It was published in the Macon Telegraph. I'll read part of it. Anyway, here we go. It is our opinion that Anjette Donovan Lyles, from her early years, has felt unloved and unwanted by her parents. During her formative and school years, Mrs. Lyles felt unaccepted by her schoolmates. In later years, despite her apparent social adjustment, she was unable to feel close to and accepted by other people. Paranoid schizophrenia usually has a gradual onset, as was apparently true with Mrs. Lyles, sorry. It is difficult to determine the exact time at which she became obviously psychotic. At the time of the examination by the undersigned Mrs. Anjette Donovan Lyles was suspicious and hostile toward people. She gave evidence of believing that she was persecuted by her mother and numerous other real as well as imaginary person. Regardless of the nature of her acts, she believes she has done no wrong. And then they go on to talk about how stressful the trial is for her.
I don't care.
I know. I'm
She
like, that
killed her daughter.
the trial didn't happen before she murdered everybody. Why does that matter?
Yeah.
I don't understand. And so
Ugh.
that also made me question the diagnosis, because, I mean, she feels she's done no wrong and that everybody's
She
out
must
to
be
get
really
her.
charming.
Seems like
Maybe
a
she flirted
narcissistic.
with the doctors.
I don't know. Well, Anjette doesn't have to serve time in prison. She lived the rest of her life at the state mental hospital.
Oh.
Rumors are said that she told a friend, quote, "They think I'm crazy as hell, and I'm going to let them keep thinking it, because if they don't, they're going to fry my ass."
I mean, true.
I mean, I think that's the most truthful thing Anjette's ever said.
Yeah.
She died of a heart attack on December 4th, 1977, at the age of 52 and was buried next to Marsha.
That's gross.
That's disgusting. Leave Marsha alone.
I wonder how Carla felt about that.
I don't
She
know.
could be alive,
Yeah,
right?
I think
She'd be our parent or my parents' age.
I hope she got away from this and is living her best life.
Yeah.
Yeah, she survived, her mother at least.
Yeah. She's a boomer.
But what do you think?
She's a narcissistic asshole. And like I wonder what her childhood was like, like getting more details around that might have helped. Was she always like this, or did something with her marriage to Ben trigger something in her? People who are narcissistic have always been that way, but I don't know for sure. And so it's that might have always been a quality of hers. I mean, she's so charming, she's good at hospitality. That's classic narcissism shit. Not that all hospitality workers are, but you know what I mean, like the charming aspect. But did something so bad happen in her marriage that she's like, something snapped and she's like, fuck it, I'm just going to kill this asshole who ruined my dreams? Was he violent with her? Like, I don't know if something worse happened to make her go down this spiral.
I don't think so because, I mean, maybe bad things happened. They probably did. Bad things happen to most people. I bet you if we looked back, we would see later versions of this. I bet you she was charming. I bet you she talked her way out of situations.
That's what I want to know.
I bet you she lied a lot. And then, I mean, she was young when she married Ben. And so she was still in her 20s when he died. And I think she felt justified in killing Ben because he was, who knows what else he was doing, but we know he was an alcoholic who was gambling away their money, and then he sold the restaurant, the one thing she loved, and she felt justified in that. And then I think after she did that, she was like, well, that was easy.
Yeah, and look how much I got from it.
I'll just keep doing that.
But then it twisted. It absolutely twisted to end with her daughter like that.
And that's kind of always the way it happens, right? Like if you think about Jolly Jane, she did it for a different motivation. She enjoyed it. But then once they get into their serial killer mentality, then they start taking out the people who are personally, like that's when Jolly Jane killed her sister.
Yeah.
This is when Anjette killed her own daughter.
It's fucked.
And there's a lot of time between these deaths, which I always think is scary to me because what happened in between those deaths? I know you escalate as you move on, right? Like Julia and Marsha were only 6 months apart, but the others were years. Did she just casually, customer was a jerk to her? Do you think they got violently ill? That is also something we commonly see. Is that a lot of people after the fact will come forward and say,
and be like, I got
really sick after I had, cake at her house. I bet you that the town was talking about that all the time. Remember that time I got food poisoning in 1957?
Guaranteed.
Because it's very likely that she was.
Yeah. I
think that quote, that I know it's a rumor and it's technically hearsay, but I think that quote really, to me, feels like the right vibe of Anjette Lyles of, they think I'm crazy. I'm going to let them because I just care about surviving.
Yeah.
She knew exactly what she was doing. It was calculated.
Yep.
It was cold.
Woof.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. Just running a restaurant. All these women love to cook. They love to cook and they love to poison.
Yeah. I mean, it goes hand in hand, I guess. I feel like you see it less, obviously, as medical technology gets better.
Yeah. This is the 50s. I feel as though
that's right on the cusp.
Starting to go down now.
Yeah.
I mean, in the 1800s, everybody's doing it. I have, like I said, I have a whole list.
Exactly.
Everybody's doing it.
You can't avoid it when you're doing your research.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Everybody's poisoning everybody. Wow.
Well, what are your last words?
Trust your gut. Trust your gut and speak out when something feels wrong. Because you could save a life. Or many.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole... But, I mean, Bob would have been on her hit list. Her other daughter would have... I assume her parents.
Her parents.
Her father died in the middle of this. I don't know how he died.
That's very interesting.
It wasn't mentioned, so I assume they knew. Maybe it was something obvious, maybe he had cancer or something obvious, but it didn't say how he passed. He died in the middle of all this.
Wonder what his will looked like.
Just a lot of men. There would have been way more husbands.
Yep. Black Widow for sure.
All right. Any other last words?
No, I'm speechless.
Just trust your gut.
Trust your gut. Trust that damn gut.
That building is no longer there, so you don't have to worry about going to that restaurant if you live in Macon. You're fine. I looked. It's just a parking lot now.
Okay. Yeah, that would be... I feel like you wouldn't do great if you tried to reopen a different restaurant there for a while. You'd have to wait 100 years.
Yeah, like anybody
For
can
generations
it's
past.
under new management. Like,
I'm
I'm gonna
good.
pass. I'm gonna pass on that. Thanks, though. We are all set.
Yeah.
She
No
loved to put it in
thanks.
lemonade
Oh, man.
because it was a sweet syrup to
Yeah,
attract
in the
the ants.
summer.
And she would put it in the lemonade and bring it to Marcia.
Oh, baby.
That poor little girl.
Seriously.
All right. Well, who should listen?
Coroners,
Yeah.
sheriffs,
Yeah.
people who are coworkers, I guess, nannies and caregivers and narcissists.
No,
Don't listen. Actually, please stay away.
just look at yourself in the mirror. Leave us alone. Well, thank you so much for listening. You can find us on all of the platforms at
Tea Time Crimes.
You can email us at
teatimecrimes@gmail.com. We love to see the cases coming in, so thank you.
Yes, thank you. Big time for me because
Big
that
time.
takes me hours to find
Yeah,
cases.
so if
I really
you...
appreciate it.
Even if you think like, oh, maybe she's seen this, just send it forward anyways because it could save us a lot of time. So appreciate it.
Yeah,
Your
very much.
thoughtfulness.
Yeah. So rate, review, like, subscribe.
We're
wherever
up
you
to
get your
30
podcast.
reviews. Come get us.
And send us recommendations for Teas and Crimes. That's it. And long live the nieces. All right.
Long live the nieces.
Got anything else?
That's it.
All right.
I'm out of here.
Well, excuse me. Bye.
Quebecois.
Yeah, I think it is Quebec. 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 I don't know how to
I
say
don't
it.
think they pronounce the U.
It's not even a word anymore.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. All right, goodbye.